whether to use it or not. Keep going.
Well, we crossed paths 20 plus years ago. I was coaching some people by fax, and I got a request by him to coach him, and I surmised he's still in high school, and I thought, well, you're kind of young. I think you might want to stick with your high school coach. So I think I turned him down, and he stuck with his high school coach, and they've got some state championships. So I was really looking at adults to help some adults with their exercise or their running training. And so that's how we first crossed paths 20 years ago.
And you've had you stayed in touch at all?
No,
or?
Not really. Then I saw his post on Let's Run, and it was about cancer guy.
Did you put it together right away?
Well, no, I just kind of saw it, and I didn't want to jump on his post there. And then I saw that he had recurrence, and I thought, wow, I just spent the previous year doing a lot of research looking at exercise and oncology. So I got a hold of one of the guys who had his email, and I just sent I said, look, if he wants to get in touch with me, I've been doing a lot of look at the exercise and oncology research, so here's my email. And then he replied back and said, well, I tried to get in touch with the coach 20 years ago, so that's how we started communicating a couple months ago, and then emails back and forth and some phone calls. And I knew I was going to come down to Texas anyway. I wanted to see Aaron, and then I wanted to see our fiscal sponsor of our research fund, which is in Tyler, Texas, Cancer Foundation for Life. And then, I was going to try and see all three of these people at the same time, and so this just worked out fine to come down and see Will, and Aaron came up. So,
how did you find out about the coaching via fax back in the day?
I think there was a Runner's World article that they did on you, and you were sitting at a desk, and talking about, fax coach by fax. I was like, hey, that sounds like a good thing. Let me find a number, and so I did, and tracked you down. And I was a very eager high school student.
Yeah.
So maybe I guess talk a little bit about your running back in the day, and then kind of now also up to what you're doing now for exercise.
I went to Catholic high school in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. We have probably one of the best coaches in the country. His name's Pete Boudreaux. Actually won the Gill Athletics Coach of the Year award last year. Phenomenal coach, great guy. I mean, he's got countless state titles to his credit. I mean, just more athletes than I could even name that he's coached. Some really fast guys over the years, some low 9-minute 2-milers, 4:14 mile, 150, 800 guys. And as I was telling the guys earlier, our high school was one of, actually the only high school in Louisiana state history to ever score a perfect score in cross country. And they were
at the state meet.
Yeah, state meet.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean he's a real deal. I mean he is a coaching genius, and I mean, just a humble guy, but really awesome program they've got going on.
That's why he asked me to help him out.
Yeah, what do you need you?
Yeah, I was like, what do you need me? I think you probably want to stay with your high school coach, and it's good advice. He was just so eager. He just thought
the grass is always greener, right?
Yeah,
it really was.
Someone else's brain too. So.
Yeah, and so I started out, when I started running, I was horrible. I was like 19 minutes for 2 miles in 8th grade. I mean, the rats walked faster than I ran, and I kept with it, and I put in miles and miles and miles and miles, and I really was one of those all heart, no talent kind of athletes, and I just stuck with it. And I did a lot of mileage in the summers, and eventually, it paid off. I got to where I was about a 16-minute 3-mile guy in high school. Nothing great, but coming from 19 minutes for 2 miles,
pretty good, right?
It's improvement. Ended up going to a school in Tennessee called Christian Brothers University, and they've got a program. I was on the first year of the program there, and first year we actually had a team go to nationals for NAIA. And I missed it by about, about that much. I had a Kenyan teammate who outkicked me by about 1/10 of a second.
Kenya, that's unfair.
Yeah. And man, it was like, broke my heart, but he beat me, so he deserves a spot. And kept at it, and eventually I made a conference team. I was a 34-minute 10K guy, nothing special, and kept at it after I got out of school, and ended up being like 15 flat, 33-minute 10K guy, and just kind of after a while I was like, I I could keep at this and, you know, whittle away a couple of seconds, but I got married and said, you know, I've been at this for a while, and then it just kind of became more of a fitness thing. And then about 2.5 years ago, I got diagnosed, and running kind of took a turn for the worse, so to speak. Once I started therapy, I just, you know, I tried to keep at it, but the stuff that chemotherapy does to your body, it whittled me down over time. And by the time I got to like round 8 or round 9, it's like, I'm gonna go walk a mile. I'm doing pretty good. And I did a big surgery after that, and it took me a while just to get back to where I could walk, literally walk. And then after a few months, I decided to try and start running again, and I did. And that's where the thread on this run came in. And I was doing 16-minute miles. You know, doesn't sound like much, but going from where I could literally barely walk to running 16-minute miles, I was pretty happy with that. And you know, like I said, I was a really determined guy, and I was like, you know, I'm gonna take running not as the competitive athlete that I used to be, but just as a guy who I've been blessed with the ability to have, you know, a little bit of life left. And so I, you know, worked at it, and I actually got a little bit faster. I was down to 12-minute miles or something like that, and then ended up breaking my leg, took another couple of months off, and then after that I had a recurrence, and ever since then we've just been trying to deal with all the craziness of dealing with cancer. So at this point they want me to start using a cane and swimming instead of walking. So running is, for me, becoming a distant memory. But I mean, I still love it. I still, you know, I check Let's Run every day, and I follow the news, and it's really, you know, it's in my blood.
You look still pretty fit.
Yeah, I mean, I'm, you know, healthier than most,
right.
but
just the physical activity just drains you. You can't do it, or
my ankles are really giving me problems these days. So if I try to walk, unless I've got a lot of medication in me that can deal with pain, I can't really walk.
So in terms of like the chemo beating you up, I mean, did you think your training prepares you for that? I always wonder, like, well, how does the average person who's not starting at such a higher starting point deal with it, or do they do lesser chemo, or it's just such a, if you get hit with a hammer, it doesn't matter what your situation was beforehand, you know?
I think it really did benefit me having the background that I did, because the type of chemos that they used, the type of cancer I have is extremely rare, and there are only a couple of protocols they use to try and address it, and every one they use is an extremely intense form of chemotherapy. And when they told me, you know, this is what we're going to do, these are the agents we're going to use, I was, you know, terrified. They were like, you know, you're going to be curled up in the corner crying, you know, because it's going to be so horrible. I'm like, okay, seriously? You know, who wants to do this? And so, you know, we finally ended up doing it, and I got through the first round, and it wasn't that bad. And I'm like, okay, you know, when is the bus going to hit me? Because
right.
I'm just waiting for this. And it never did. And so we get through, and my counts dropped in about day 10 to day 14, and came back up, and round 2 comes and goes, and it's not that bad. And as it turns out, I really think that my fitness and the exercise that I've done all those years leading up to this really made a huge difference in my ability to deal with the therapy. And people were just amazed at how well I ended up doing 10 rounds before this major surgery I went through, and it was pretty interesting, because every time people would ask me, you know, how are you doing? I'm like, I'm fine, I really am. And interestingly, after the surgery, there's a second-line agent, which is really just another set of drugs they want to use. It's more of a maintenance thing, and those whipped my butt significantly more than the first round stuff did. And I was really surprised, because everybody said these second line agents are going to be, you know, much gentler, you're going to be able to work, you're not going to have any problems. And man, I was in bed, I was sick, I lost like 30 pounds just from a variety of issues. And I was very surprised that what they were telling me was going to be the easiest stuff turned out to be by far the hardest. And so I did 3 rounds of that before I broke my leg. And then after that, I said, I need a break. I've been at this for a year straight. We've done some crazy stuff. Let's just call it a day. And then I took some time off, and then we learned it came back about April this year, and we've just been trying to figure out what we're going to do since then.